What is up? This is White Trash Donnie. Welcome to the Sloppy Syndicate Show. Another episode we have for you. Today we have none other than Old Currents, based out of Glen Rock, New Jersey. Don't want to steal a ton of their thunder, so we'll bring them in here shortly and we'll let them explain a little bit about the band, where they're from, how they got started. And we have a little bit of a fun game here a little bit later. And folks in the audience, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to put those in the comment section and we will get the band to ask that. So without further ado, let's bring on Old Currents.
Oh, yes, I love the round of applause. I'll take it.
Awesome. So welcome in, guys. How we doing?
Doing
well, man. How are you?
Living the dream. So I just want to make sure our vocals are good. Again, we are using the Bluetooth today, the Bluetooth call-in line. So that is new for me, but it is working seamlessly. So if anyone in the chat, if you could just let us know how it sounds. I think we're in the dynamic range. Everything sounds good. So we should not have any issues. So again, welcome to the show. This is Old Currents. Obviously, it's not the full band today, but as you know, bands are extremely busy making new music, touring, different things like that. So we will take what we can get. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, what you play within Old Currents.
What's up, everybody? My name's Joe. I play lead guitar, depending on the songs. I just sing lead, I sing back. That's my buddy here. But mostly lead guitar and rhythm, depending on what's going on.
And then I'm Jake. I sing probably like 70% of the time. Play rhythm guitar. I do have a lead part on the new album, so I'm really excited about that. I guess you could basically say I'm the second coming of Stevie Ray Vaughan. So, not to brag or anything.
Okay, I mean that's a big name to hold up to. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's true. It's not even like hyping myself up.
I'll let everyone know early. He's just a liar. He just lies all the time. You have to know that he's not to be trusted.
Yeah, he's right. But yeah, write a bunch of songs, sing a bunch of songs, play guitar. Yeah, I mean, good time.
So the band started in 2017. A bunch of buddies kind of got together. So what was the basis behind Old Currents kind of forming? Were you guys just hanging out one night and said, you know what, I want to be a rock star?
So me and Jake have been in a bunch of different projects, from like a ska band actually before this, and a couple other things. And it got to the point where we kind of had a lull in like music, like we weren't doing anything. And then at one point he's like, "Hey, I'm writing some songs. You should come look at it. Tell me what you think. We can see if we can write over it." So we went to our local guitar center, went to a back room because we didn't have any gear or anything worth a goddamn. So we're in that back room just kind of jamming on songs. Then we went and grabbed our drummer, a longtime friend, Greg Winsper. And with him and a little bit of help toward the first album, I think that came out in 2017, right?
Yeah.
So that's when the first album came out. And then we've been trucking along ever since. And very soon we have our second album on the way out.
Yep. So currently you've released 3 singles from the new album. So the first album you put out was 2017, 3 Chords and the Truth. Great album. So you kind of get, and as you said earlier, you kind of, some of your background, ska, country, rock. So you kind of mix, I don't want to say you mix genres in the song, but your influences are kind of mixed throughout. A couple of the songs there's 10 songs on the 2017 album. What's a Bar Like You Doing in a Girl Like This? That's probably one of my favorite songs from that album. Music City Blues is also very good. And then Hometown caught me off guard because Hometown started out with the harmonics and then it went into, into the song. So it's kind of unique to have the harmonica start that song and then kind of branch into that. So the newest release, which the full album is not out yet, and that is The Glory, the Defeat. Had a brain fart there. Sorry about that. So The Glory and the Defeat.
No, it's all right. It's confusing. There's 2 title tracks on this one. Like there's The Glory, The Defeat. The album's The Glory, The Defeat. It's confusing.
Okay.
Didn't think that one through.
Okay. I was like, yeah, it caught me out. Like I had a little brain fart and I had to remember it. So the first three songs from this album that have been released, we have The Glory, No Signs of Life, and Here You Throw This Away. So how many title tracks are on this album and when will the full album release?
So yeah, the two title tracks, they're basically songs that like I sing one, Joe sings the other one. They kind of partner together very well, um, in our opinion. But yeah, full album comes out April 22nd, 2022. 12 songs, and I feel like the second album is kind of like the first album perfected. Not to be, pretentious or anything or full of ourselves, but like when we did the first album, we did the best job we could at the time. But we were just like, we're like 23 ish. Like those songs are all our first crack at songwriting, really. So I think with The Glory, the Defeat, we kind of achieved what we wanted to achieve in terms of, like you were saying, like pulling from different influences, because we're not just one thing. Like I love country, folk singer, songwriter. Like our bassist loves like hardcore music. Joe loves like John Frusciante. Our drummer loves hip hop. So it would be kind of limiting to just be like, all right, we are, and then whatever one genre. So
Right. And
just want to lay that groundwork. Kind of like one of our favorite bands, Lucero. I think they do it well, where like they could play like the saddest country song, but then they could play like the rowdiest drinking song back to back.
right.
But at the end of the day, it's a Lucero song, and we kind of want to try to do that same thing with our stuff.
Yeah, and I love seeing the different influences within a band, kind of bringing out all kinds of different sounds on the album. So um, definitely look forward to that album coming out. This was recorded at Portrait Studio, if I'm correct. And then your first album that came out in 2017, was that in a recording studio as well, or was that kind of a solo project that the band itself did?
So it was in our friend's basement studio. We were just browsing through Facebook, just kind of put the word out that we needed to record an album because we had 10 songs. Skylar Ross reached out to us. We met up with him. We really liked him as a person. We thought his work sounded awesome. And so he had a studio in his basement at the time. And we just went down there just like once or twice a week for a bunch of weeks in a row, just kind of working around everyone's work schedule. And it was a ton of fun. It was the first like real recording experience we've ever had. Because I mean, we've done demos, we've messed around, but this was the first time where it's like, all right, like we're spending money, we're on the clock, we're working with somebody who knows what they're doing. So it was cool. It was fun. And then like every day we would just get what was it? Chicken parm with vodka sauce sandwiches and bacon. Oh my God. Like
So
every session.
That actually got in the way of the recording process because then we fell asleep. But it was good fuel after we woke up from our nap.
yeah, you always need nap time after a hefty meal like that. So I take frequent naps myself after a heavy meal. So I agree with you. We should have lunchtime and then a nap time after lunchtime. But how intimidating is a studio? Because I know when I walk in and you got all these boards and you got the window, the studio is the studio. So there's just like when I walk into it, I'm just kind of astounded by all the buttons and everything. And it's kind of intimidating. What would you say for you guys? Is it intimidating or are you fully embrace it and just go for it?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think if I want to reference both times, the first time we went in, I think we were excited because we were kind of ignorant, and then we finished the project. Then we looked back and we said, all right, this is what we did. We love what we did, but now we know what we can do better. And the second time we went in, me personally, I was a little intimidated because I knew what I wanted to do. Now we're working with, Chris is incredible. Chris Padami is the owner of Portrait. We were lucky enough to work with him, but like we had met him in like a small like interview process about what he wanted or what he does, what we wanted, but we don't really know the guy. So you're meeting up with a brand new person to try and put your dreams, your emotions into this audio thing of 12 sounds. Like you don't know what it's like, and like you said, there's a million different options. He has all the different stuff, but we were truly lucky to work with him because I really think he helped us create the sounds that we wanted. He let us experiment with what we like harmonizing, because when you go into the studio, it's kind of hard to like work on all those harmonies when you're just working on the song. Because when you're practicing it to play the song. But now you're in the studio, you got to make sure that everything's right, everything sounds exactly the way you want, everything is pristine. So coming to a tour, it is very intimidating, but we got very lucky with who we worked with. It didn't take long for me personally to feel incredibly comfortable. Probably after like my first session of actually recording, I felt completely fine, and I was ready to go back, and I knew that we were going to get exactly what I wanted for my stuff and for our stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So you just kind of shake out the jitters, and you get rolling and start jamming out. So you guys definitely have a unique sound to you throughout the first album and the 3 releases that we have. As of now, the full album will release 4/23. So I noticed in a lot of your songs, you guys kind of use kind of some past experiences to you kind of bring that into the forefront of that song. Now, is that the route that you had chose, or is that just something that kind of came from your heart and you just kind of wanted to get that off your chest and share that story or share that experience?
I think it all just like kind of comes out. It's not really a choice. Um, I don't really know how to explain it better than just like the feeling of like I need to like purge an emotion or purge a thought is almost the same as like that feeling of hunger. It's like you have to eat. Like if you were to, I feel like if you were to explain it to like another life form, what is hunger? It would be like impossible to do. But I feel like that's like songwriting. They're just like a part of the brain that's like, all right, like it's time. Like you need to go do this. And for me, I am very much so a talker, as everybody who knows me will attest. And um, my way of kind of like reckoning with my thoughts and closure, whatever, is I need to talk them out with somebody. Just so this way I can like hear them spoken, put them into the air, and just like deal with whatever it is. So like songwriting, I think, is an extension of that, of just trying to like purge your feelings, so this way you can like finally like I've said my piece on the subject, I can put it to bed and move on. Like I guess like I know it's like cliche as hell, but I guess like it is almost like therapeutic in a way.
Right.
For sure.
And then after, that weight is kind of lifted off your shoulders, you said what you said, and, you leave it at that. And like you said, a little bit of, form of therapy per se. So what's up, Justin Bell?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us in the chat. So Justin Bell does have a question. Most memorable gig and why? And we also got Vato. So thanks for joining us, Vato. But yeah, most memorable gig and why?
For me, at least, before we were Old Currents, I think it was before we were Old Currents, the first incarnation of the band was called the Lawless Few. And we played a fundraiser show in a New Brunswick basement. One of our friends who hooked up the show knew who we were. Nobody else did. But like, that was my favorite because it was like everybody jam packed into a basement. Like, everybody's like drinking and smoking weed and just partying. People are like standing on washing machines, or I mean crouching really. And like I'm 6'2", so I couldn't stand without hitting my head on a beam. So I had to stand like in between two of them, and just like nobody knew who we were, but everyone treated us like we were like the biggest band on earth. Like it was like I don't know, like the Foo Fighters or Green Day or someone was just like playing in the basement. Like it was, I don't know. That for me was my favorite ever. I
Yeah,
don't know. What about you?
and just being on stage, I can only imagine just like you explained it. People crouching on on the washing machines
Yeah,
and just smoking pot and doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
yeah, it was
Sounds like
cool.
some high school days for me. When we used to go to some of the small shows around here. So, yeah. So didn't mean to cut you off. Your favorite or most memorable gig and why?
The most memorable, I think, is when we played Debonair last time with Friendship Society. That was a great night. We had so many people out there, everybody singing along, and it's always that great feeling like when you no longer have to sing your own songs because everybody's singing it back to you. We had one of those moments, and that's just one that like hits you in the heart. Because, like we said, these songs are filled with like past experiences, emotions, and like we said what we needed to say. It's kind of past us now, but we're also still singing it. So it's cool that songs that are necessarily not always positive or are positive and you're bringing back out is now touching somebody else in another way to the point where they're singing with you and they're singing instead of you. You don't have to sing it. They feel so involved that they're now singing it with us. So that was a great feeling.
And Justin Bell says those are he loves those kinds of. I love those kind of shows. Yes, those are some of the best shows. The smaller venues, and it's more personal,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to
Really
really
intimate.
vibe with the band a lot more. So
Oh yeah,
awesome.
don't get me wrong. I'll play at MetLife Stadium. Like I
Right,
will take all that money. Like I am not beyond that. But yeah, there wouldn't be the same emotional connection. But I guess the paycheck makes up for it.
right.
I guess.
Most definitely. I mean, if you had to choose, 160,000 or 200, I think we would all go that with the 160,000. But it's always
Yeah.
nice to kind of go back to the roots where it was started, and do the small gigs and the up close and personal gigs with the small crowds. So
Yeah.
um, with that being said, what are some of your major musical influences, such as bands or artists, and what kind of pushed you guys in the direction of pursuing music?
As far as influences, we have influences from everywhere. People like to ask us, like, "Oh, what's your favorite kind of music?" And to me, the answer is just good music. Like, I don't really care what it is. I'm not gonna like immediately not like something, but just to pick some bands that I think like come through in the sound of what we've done on the first and second album. I think you could definitely get pieces of Lucero that we brought up before, the Gaslight Anthem, Against Me, the Men Singers, hot water music as well. Those are bands that I think influence our sound and get us kind of like to the building blocks of what we create. And what was your other question about getting into music?
And what influenced you to pursue music?
What influenced me to get into music is I actually moved to the town where Jake and Greg lived my freshman year of high school. And it's funny because in Hackensack, music wasn't too much of a scene. I'm not sure what's going on there currently in the younger generations as far as music. But when I had left, music was not a thing. It wasn't an interest for me. So I moved high school year, and I moved to this town where everybody was in some way, shape, or form involved in music. If they weren't playing, they were going to shows. So I found very quickly that I needed to pick up an instrument, or I was going to be very bored and by myself every Friday and Saturday. So I kind of picked it up. Me and Jake had become friends, and like he had been playing for a little bit, so he kind of mentored me for a wee bit. And then I just stuck with it, and then we've been through band, and now we're all.
Awesome. And how about you?
I mean, pretty much same thing for me. Like except like mine just started a couple years earlier in middle school. Like a bunch of my friends bought guitars and a drum set and would just go jam and like I would want to hang out, but they're like, "Oh yeah, like we'll meet up with you when we're done playing music." And then I would just like not get hit up because they just wouldn't stop. So it's like, all right, well, I gotta pick up an instrument too. So I started playing bass originally because nobody wanted to do it. So I figured just by owning a bass, like people hit you up to hang out all the time. It was awesome, and it still works and still rings true to this day. If you want to play in bands, just buy a bass. Nobody wants to do it.
Right.
So if you're willing to do it, you'll get gigs forever. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that pretty much was what started it for me. And then like getting into like music in general. I used to listen to like Alan Jackson when I was super little. I had like the Don't Rock the Jukebox cassette, so I'd listen to that all the time. And then in fifth grade, found Let Go by Avril Lavigne. So that's when that was I know it's like kind of like weird, but that record was important because that led me from them to Blink 182 to Rancid, No Effects, and just kind of led me down. Like, is like weird as it seems. It's like I feel like Machine Gun Kelly is going to do the same thing for some kid. You know, it might not be the punkest thing out there, but it's someone's gateway
Right.
to the genre. So Avril Lavigne was that for me in punk music, and then yeah, so then basically just started playing punk music. Found Anti Flag Against Me when I was like in seventh grade, and it was over from there. Now we've been a poor musician ever since.
You are rich within the heart, so that's all that matters. And you make good music,
Exactly.
so there you go. Yeah, so kind of back in middle school, um, I grew up in a small farm town, so my musical influences were primarily country. Alan Jackson, Waylon Jennings, Garth Brooks, which Garth Brooks is probably the goat of country to me. Contrary
Hmm.
to some other people, they would say George Strait, things like that. And then, my dad would kind of introduce me to like Pantera, Megadeth, Ted Nugent. And then, so as a kid, growing up, I had, a vast array of kind of different musical influences or music that I listened to throughout the family, which kind of led me down like to Korn and Rob Zombie and Tool and, those, punk rock bands, No Effects and things like that. So, um, which I'm grateful for because I have a vast, not knowledge, but a vast array of genres that I actually enjoy and that I will listen to. I probably shouldn't have listened to some of them songs in middle school, but my mom let me. So hey, it is what it is, right? So,
Yeah,
but
and it's good. Makes you well rounded
right,
in terms of what
and
you're into. You can just as much enjoy a tailgate as you could drinking 40s behind like the dingy punk band.
right, yeah, we'd be out in a uh, cornfield that they just cut down with a bunch of sticks and sneaking cases of beer and meeting up with
Hmm.
the buddies and having a little bonfire out there. And then moving to Florida was kind of a shock for me, being from a small farm town, moving to a big city. And then that's when it kind of really, I moved down in 10th grade to Florida, and that's when it really expanded and opened up because we have some venues here like the Hard Rock. They would do I think it was once a month or twice a month, they would do a local bands. So they'd have like 8 or 10 local bands playing different genres. And it was like $5. So like all the high school kids, we'd all get together and, pay our $5 and go just jam out with the bands and listen to them. So definitely, that's kind of what steered my musical passion. I am not talented enough to play the guitar. I've tried, but I am so like squirrel. Like if I don't get it in 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, I quit. I'll go back like 3 hours later, try it again. I don't get it. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'll throw it down for a couple months and then I'll try it again. And then, so my problem is I have short, little, fat, stubby fingers. So it's kind of like, it's so awkward for me because I'm like, I can't really reach it, but I'm trying to. But so Justin said, did one like that in a small cafe in the side room with a pool table and a jukebox was so packed once they started dancing, someone got tossed through the jukebox glass. Yes, those are the best kind of shows. So nobody wants to do bass, and it's important to drive the song. Slap at the bass, man. And punk and metal for sure. And woods parties are where it's at. So all right. So we are at 23 minutes. I try to keep it to 30 to 45 minutes because I know you were extremely busy. So we are going to play a game here shortly after a few more questions. So, in your opinion, how has lockdown affected you guys and the band? Has it given you more time to write songs and kind of experiment with the music side of things, or has it kind of affected you or impacted you in a negative way?
I would say the negative of it, we basically took off 2 years of shows, and that sucked. No way around it. But the silver lining to things, if there is a silver lining, I'm not trying to make light of the past 2 years, but it timing wise, it worked out as I guess as well as it could have. We still all have day jobs. Music is not our main source of income, so it's not like we had no. It's not like we went broke over the last years. We all still had our jobs. We all still had our livelihood. But musically, though, it worked out because we just started recording "The Glory, the Defeat" in January 2020. So like right before everything happened. So we got about, and we would do this like a similar thing to the first album. We would have like 1 or 2 sessions a week, just working around everyone's life schedule, just because life gets busy. Um, and then lockdown happened. So we had Chris send us all the files of everything that we recorded up to that point. So we were able to go back and like nitpick and be like, all right, like, is this a good foundation for us to proceed with? You know, whenever we're allowed to get back to it. So we went back and re-recorded Joe specifically recorded a bunch of his guitar parts over. And I'm sure we would have loved it no matter what, because it's like your child, imperfections and all, it's still your child.
Right.
But we now have a better child because of it.
And you have that sentimental value, as because all the hard work that you put into it. So I see what you're saying. It's your baby. You've worked so hard to get it, and with imperfections or without imperfections. So yes, I see what you're saying. So what are your plans for the upcoming year, other than being rock stars?
Rock stars all day, every day. But when we're not only doing that, like we said, the album's coming out on the 22nd of April, so that's our first milestone. The actual album release show, for anyone listening who might be close to the Jersey area, that's going to be in Debonair Music Hall. That's May 21st. That's in Teaneck, New Jersey. We have a couple other shows booked, but other than that, I think we're going to start exploring the option of potentially putting, if it's not weekend tours, or just full on any type of touring that we can put together, just because the album's out. Now we want to bring it to people. We want people to see it. We want to hear what people say. We want to connect. We're still very anxious to meet people because COVID robbed that of us for 2 years. For the rest of the year, nothing is really off the table. Don't be shocked if you hear we go right back to the studio, because we loved it so gosh darn much. And we have had a lot of time to work on music, so we have a lot of stuff just sitting around that we haven't been able to work on just yet, because we're so focused on working on this album, being ready, making sure songs are ready to perform, all that fun stuff. But we have a lot potentially prepared, so don't be shocked about anything. I'm not going to give anything away, but other than that show coming up May 21st, there's a lot that could happen and a lot that we're going to work on this year.
Yeah, I would say definitely just make it to the finish line of this album release, and then kind of just reevaluate where everything stands from there.
Okay.
It's all we've been thinking about is just like the first album release show for number one. We didn't even have CDs for it. Like we messed up. Like we didn't. So we're just trying to make sure we don't screw this one up before we think beyond it, really. But yeah, everything is on the table.
Yes, and if you have vinyls, I am a vinyl collector, so definitely let me know if you make a vinyl or two. I would definitely snag a vinyl of the new album.
Thank you.
Happy belated birthday, Justin. I didn't realize it was your birthday, so I do apologize that I missed your birthday, but happy belated there. So sorry to cut you off.
Happy birthday. It's Joe's birthday tomorrow, actually, too.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say when it comes to vinyl, I would love to get vinyl done. We have no money committed to it, but I am saving up some money on the side to try to make that happen, because that is probably musical dreams. Have an album on vinyl, play Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado,
of course,
and that's basically the two, I would say. That and play Fest in Florida, in Gainesville. Those are my three.
Okay, all right.
So hopefully we can knock one of them out sooner rather than later.
The Red Rock, that's probably the most beautiful amphitheater out there. You're down in the, what I say, a valley, looking up, up and up at the fans. So that would just be amazing in itself. So,
have you been?
I have not been, but I've seen some shows, on YouTube, different things like that, and it's kind of it's on the bucket list for sure, to check out a show there. So I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we're gonna get into some this or that questions to kind of have a little bit of a different interview, so it's not a Q&A the entire time and putting you guys in the hot seat. So for the folks that are listening, where can we find Old Currents at?
So on all Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything is /Old Currents. And then from there, we have our own personal socials. Like our bassist Ryan, he also has a project called Scary Hours. I don't remember what his handle is, but I'm sure it'll auto-populate. Yeah, we will have a reallife.com website up soon. Just working out the kinks on that. because we're not very technologically savvy here at Old Currents Incorporated. So we're working on that.
Yep,
But
I totally
we're
get it.
also on Spotify and Bandcamp and Apple Music as well. Sorry to pick you up.
Okay, so Spotify, Apple Music, and Bandcamp. Yep, I'm not tech savvy at all either. So I had a show. I actually just got the Rodecaster Pro, and funny story, I had an interview and I tested with a buddy, and everything was working fine. And I get on for the interview. They can hear me, but I can't hear them. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I did, they called in the Bluetooth line. Thankfully, I knew how to use that. So after the show, I FaceTimed my buddy, Ken, who does content creation and coaches, people for content creation. I went and asked him, I'm like, hey, what am I doing wrong? He's like, you see that button right there? Just hit that button. I mean, it was that simple. It was just a button. I'm like, really? Like, I'm stressing out, looking at YouTube, trying to read the manual, trying to figure everything out, and it's literally one button I had to press. So, yes, I get it. I'm totally with you. I get it when it comes to tech. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
the
not made
simplest
for
thing,
this time.
right? So,
I should have been a farmer, like in Big Sky Country or something instead.
right.
But I was born in New Jersey, so you work with it, make the best of it.
All right. So we're going to get into would you rather. So we got a few would you rather questions, and these randomly populate. So would you rather listen to the same song 24 hours on repeat or watch the same movie for a week?
Same movie for a week, because I already do that as it is. All I do is watch The Shawshank Redemption in my free time.
Okay.
So this is that for me. That's just standard business as usual. So I will do that, because even your favorite song, 24 hours, you're gonna freak out.
Right.
I
You'll
think
need some pads
at
on
least I would.
pads on the wall.
Yeah, 100%. So movie for sure.
I would do song. Because if I find a new song I like, I'm probably listening to it 24 hours anyway. And I worked at a movie theater for 7 years. The idea of watching the same movie for a week would drive me bonkers. That's my category. So I would actually go song for that one. Because if you find a song you like, I honestly repeat that thing my whole drive home. I have no problem doing it.
Okay, so two different answers. Perfect.
Where do you fall on that one?
That's a tough one. I'm not a big movie person, so I would probably pick movies because I would fall asleep. So it doesn't matter any movie I watch. About an hour in, I fall asleep. So even in the movie theater, so that's why I don't waste my money going to the movies anymore. The last movie I went and watched live was Super Troopers 2, which obviously it wasn't as funny as the original Super Troopers, but it was still pretty good. And I fell asleep. I don't know what it is. I guess I get comfortable and it's dark and I pass out. So, hey, I could sleep. I don't have to listen to the same song for 24 hours. All right. So would you rather go without electricity or running water for a week?
Electricity. We talked about this before even. I love a good shower. I mean, good crisp water pressure. Oh my God. Actually, yeah, we're going to become that weird shower band now too because of this. But yeah, no, 100%. Because if you don't no electricity, I just leave it. It's all good. You just play acoustic guitar or board games, and, by candlelight. And, living in New Jersey, I'm sure you have it in Florida too. You have hurricanes that knock out power for a couple of days at a time.
Right.
So it's just kind of whatever. As long as I have water for a good shower, I'm good.
All right.
I don't know.
For me, I guess it has to be the same. But the idea of being smelly is not what I want to. Yeah, I'll give up electricity because I can't go around smelling. But I'm not happy about it because I use technology all day, every day. The idea of not having a charged phone and not being able to watch Netflix is horrifying, but I don't want to be a smelly guy. So we'll go with I'll give it electricity.
All right. So I would go without the water because Florida gets extremely hot and I get extremely cranky when it gets hot out. And I can always take a bar of soap and jump in the pond and wash off in the pond without getting bit by a gator or a water moccasin. But that's just a chance you take, I guess, right? So
Our ponds are polluted, so you can't do that.
So I'm going without the water. So I can always find a lake. Probably not safe to drink, but what's the worst that can happen, you know? So,
Yeah, toughens you up, all the bacteria
right. You know, build your immunity.
and the
So,
snakes. Yeah,
and, you know, if the gator gets your arm, you know, you can play Happy Gilmore too. So,
exactly. Rest in peace, Chids.
right. And so, would you rather eat the most expensive dessert or drink the most expensive champagne in the world?
Dessert.
Yeah, I think I would agree on that. I'm very much so a person who would rather eat their calories than drink their calories.
If you said whiskey, you might have had me on whiskey, but I don't really care much for champagne to begin with, so that's what lost me on that technicality. But yeah, definitely for this one.
Okay. I am extremely cheap, so I probably I probably wouldn't splurge on it unless I had to, but I would go with dessert as
Yeah,
well. So I drink Busch Light beer for sake. So I mean, you know, I'm going with the dessert. I don't need fancy champagne. So
yeah. My brother drinks Busch Light. That's his go-to. I'm a big Natural Light fan,
okay.
so we're on the same page there.
See, and I was
Natural
always
Light, please sponsor me.
right. Busch Light and Natty Light. You have two sponsorships here.
Yeah,
Help us out. So
I'll take it. Yeah, I've been plugging Natural Light every interview just in case they're listening.
so
They have yet to reach out.
maybe I'll have to clip this and send this to Bush and send this to Natty. That way, maybe we can get some sponsorship deals and
Yeah,
you know, get some free beer. So, and the funny part
yeah,
with the Bush Light is, I was like growing up, I'm like, nah, I'm not drinking that cheap crap. It probably tastes like piss water, blah blah blah. And I finally drank it. I was probably 24, 25. I was like, it's not that bad. And even now I can get a 24 pack for $13 here. So I'm like, saving money.
exactly.
It does the same job. So, all right. So we'll do two more. We are at the 37-minute mark, and I know you guys are extremely busy, like I said before. So, would you rather be seated on a plane next to a screaming baby? That sounds god awful. Or would you rather, or someone with bad body odor? I'm going with the bad body odor off the bat.
There's no good answer here.
Right.
I guess I would go Screaming Baby because I've been working. I started working at Guitar Center, and you really learn how to just block out all the noise because, like in the live section, there's someone blasting hip hop. Then in the guitar section, there's someone trying to play Eruption. Then everyone, it gets so overwhelming. But like after being there for a little while, I really learned how to just block everything out and just live in my own mind. So I think the noise of the Screaming Baby would not affect me as much.
Okay.
So I would pick Baby.
I think I'm gonna follow suit and go with the baby. Also, because you can like put headphones on and just kind of listen to stuff. I'm sure it's still creeping through, but if you put that volume up to 10, I don't care if Spotify says it's damaging my ears. So is
Right.
the annoying baby, and I don't want to smell some guy. I already talked about smelling it, so yeah, I'm gonna go with baby.
Yeah. I mean, that's either way, it's not a good scenario, but yeah, I'm sticking with the bad body odor.
Baby, like down the airport.
All right. Would you rather be trapped in a bizarre love triangle or be the focus of a stalker? I mean,
Focus of a stalker.
I mean, I've kind of been in
No
both
question.
already. So no, I'm just playing.
That's so cool.
I don't know how cool it was.
No, that's awesome.
It depends on how it ended.
Because the way I see it, if you have a stalker, that means you're doing something right in life. Whether you have a good personality or you're really hot or something, that means someone loves you so much they are willing to ignore all legal repercussion, and I think that's flattering.
Okay. They're just crazy. And you were the first person they saw when they went crazy.
I'll take it.
I'm just saying, your logic to me doesn't work. Love triangle. I mean, I think I'll still go with the crazy person. That way I don't have to deal with ruining people's emotions.
I'm going with the love triangle because I've always wanted to be on the Jerry Springer show. So if I get in a love triangle, maybe we can go to this Jerry Springer show, or Steve Wilkos. Yeah. But so that's my answer on that.
Go on with the stalker too.
Yeah,
true. Yeah, I guess depends how crazy they get. My luck, I would get the crazy stalker that sneaks through my window at night and just like stabs me. you know, or something crazy
Yeah.
like that. I don't get the pleasurable stalker where I'm like, oh, I feel cool. They really like me. No, I would get the crazy one that just like wants to
That's
off
why I
me.
carry a knife with me all the time, and my knife has a knife as well.
Well, I
Just
sleep
so this way when Joe stalks somebody,
right.
he's ready.
So I sleep like a rock. So you could come through my window and I would. I mean, at least I died in my sleep. I wouldn't know, but
Yeah.
so Justin says, yeah, even crazy enough to kill you. If they can't have you, no one will. Right? Exactly. Like, yeah, I've dated some
Yeah.
crazy women, so I know how that goes. So,
but it's nice. It's romantic almost.
No.
Right? Yeah, I can't just be like, I know you're stalking me, but bring the wine and the hors d'oeuvres, and we'll have a little picnic. Like, you don't have to be a stalker anymore. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But I also see things very glass half full. So I would try to make the best of it, I think, for sure.
All right. So, I mean, very interesting answers for sure on all the questions. So, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, folks. This is Old Currents,
Thank you.
and you can find them on IG, Spotify, all the major streaming, Apple Music, and things like that. So thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Sloppy Syndicate, where we like to bring talent from around the nation to your ear holes. That way you can listen to some great bands around the country. So until next time, we will see you and have a good day. Any final words from you, Old Currents?
Thanks so much for having us on, and keep it sloppy, man.
Awesome. We will see you next time. Until then, keep it sloppy.